War creates heroes in the most unexpected moments. Moments where a single decision can rewrite the fate of men, missions, and sometimes, entire histories. This is the story of a pilot who received a direct command, "Do not land." Yet when he saw his commander dying on the ground, he made a choice that changed everything, a choice between obedience and honor, between following rules and following his heart. It was early morning as Captain Alex Turner, a skilled helicopter pilot, began what looked like an ordinary patrol mission. The terrain below was harsh, a landscape of jagged mountains, broken valleys, and known enemy-held territory. Turner flew with his co-pilot, Lieutenant Mark Dawson, a man known for his unwavering calm under pressure. They were scanning the horizon, the rhythmic thrum of the rotor blades a familiar sound, but routine missions in conflict zones can change in a matter of seconds. As their helicopter skimmed over a rocky ridge, a sudden, desperate distress call pierced through the radio static. The voice was distorted, broken by interference, but the message was terrifyingly clear. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Commander Harris. We're hit. We're going down." The voice belonged to Commander James Harris, the man who had trained Turner, who had taught him discipline, courage, and the true meaning of leadership. Harris wasn't just a superior officer. He was a mentor, a figure who had shaped Turner's entire career. Without a moment's hesitation, Turner banked the helicopter sharply, pushing the controls forward and heading straight toward the last known coordinates of the crash. The routine patrol was over. A rescue mission had begun. As Turner and Dawson approached the coordinates, a thick pillar of black smoke billowed into the sky, a grim beacon marking the crash site. The wreckage of Commander Harris's helicopter lay scattered across the valley floor, a tangled mess of metal and fire. This particular region was infamous for enemy ambushes. It was a kill zone, a place where rescue attempts often turned into traps. Landing here was classified as an extreme risk mission, something Command almost never approved. Before Turner could even formulate a plan, the command center's voice crackled through his headset, sharp and authoritative. "Eagle 1, maintain distance. Do not land. Ground forces are en route. Acknowledge." The order was clear, direct, and left no room for interpretation. But then, through the smoke, the broken glass, and the flickering flames, Turner saw movement. It was Commander Harris. He was alive, but pinned beneath a piece of the fuselage, and the fire was spreading fast, crawling toward the fuel lines. Every second mattered. The ground forces were at least 30 minutes out. Harris didn't have 30 minutes. He barely had 30 seconds. The voice from the command center came again, even more forceful this time. "Eagle 1, this is a direct order. Do not land. Repeat, do not land. Your mission is to provide air support and observe. Do you copy?" Every fiber of Turner's being, every minute of his training, screamed at him to obey. A direct order was sacred. Disobeying it meant a court-martial, the end of his career, and disgrace. But the sight below tore at his conscience. This wasn't just a downed pilot. It was Commander Harris. Lieutenant Dawson, sensing the conflict raging inside his pilot, looked at him, his own face a mask of grim determination. He leaned closer and said, "Captain, if we wait for ground support, he won't make it." Turner's mind flashed back through the years. He remembered Harris pushing him during training, challenging him to be better, to fly faster, to think smarter. Harris was the one who saw potential in a young, reckless pilot and molded him into the leader he was today. And now, that same man was trapped, burning, and utterly alone. In that moment, Turner made his choice. He reached over and switched off the main communication radio to the command center. The line went silent. He looked at Dawson, his voice quiet but resolute. "We're going in." Flying low into that valley was like entering a death trap. The narrow canyon walls created violent, swirling crosswinds that threatened to throw the helicopter off balance. Ash and burning debris hammered against the windshield, obscuring their view. But Turner held the controls steady, his knuckles white, his focus absolute. He was fighting the elements, the terrain, and the enemy, all at once. The landing zone was a nightmare, narrow and unstable, littered with sharp fragments of the wreck. One wrong move, one gust of wind at the wrong moment, and their own helicopter would roll over and share the same fiery fate. With intense concentration, Turner brought it down, a hard, jarring landing, but a safe one. The moment the skids hit the ground, Dawson was out the door, sprinting toward the wreck with a fire extinguisher and a Commander Harris was barely conscious, his breathing shallow. He looked up as Dawson reached him, his voice a weak whisper. "I ordered you not to land." Dawson didn't waste time with words. "Save it for later, sir." Together, Dawson and Turner fought against the twisted, superheated metal pinning their commander. The heat was unbearable, searing their skin and making it hard to breathe. Flames licked closer and closer to the main fuel tank. With one final desperate pull, they freed Harris just moments before the fire reached the fuel. A violent, deafening explosion tore through the air behind them as they lifted him aboard. Turner didn't look back. He pulled the helicopter up, dust and flames roaring beneath them, and climbed for the sky. But the danger wasn't over. As they ascended, the echoing crackle of enemy gunfire erupted from the surrounding hills. Green tracer rounds zipped past the cockpit. The rescue had been spotted. Turner threw the helicopter into a series of wild, evasive maneuvers, banking hard left and right, dodging the incoming fire as Dawson worked desperately in the back to stabilize Harris. The helicopter shook violently as a few rounds found their mark. Alarms blared across the dashboard, warning of hydraulic pressure loss and engine strain. But Turner refused to give up. With his fuel gauge dropping into the red and the engine overheating, he pushed the helicopter to its absolute limits, flying on pure instinct and adrenaline. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they cleared the treacherous mountain range and crossed back into friendly airspace. Below, a rescue team was scrambling, medics ready to receive them. As they landed, the medical crew rushed to pull Harris from the helicopter. He was battered, severely injured, but he was alive. Alive because one pilot had chosen courage over rules. Turner fully expected to be punished. He had flagrantly disobeyed a direct order, an offense that could end a career and land him in a military prison. He stood before the formal review board, his uniform immaculate, his expression stoic, ready to face whatever consequences came his way. The senior officers stared at him, their faces unreadable. But before anyone could speak, the door to the briefing room opened. Commander Harris appeared, his arm in a sling, his head bandaged, but his posture resolute. He walked slowly but steadily into the room and raised his good hand to command silence. He looked directly at the board members. "If Captain Turner had followed your order, I would be dead. He risked his aircraft, his crew, and his career to save my life. He saved one of your own, and that, gentlemen, is what true leadership looks like." The room fell silent. The tension broke. The charges were dropped. Instead of punishment, Captain Alex Turner was awarded a medal for extraordinary bravery and valor in the face of the enemy. There are moments in life when rules must be followed, and then there are moments when they must be broken for something greater. Captain Alex Turner chose humanity over protocol, instinct over fear, and action over hesitation. And because of that choice, a commander lived, a squadron was inspired, and a legend was born.